Hello, everybody, and this is this is a prediction for the finale, Ryuga versus Tai Lung, in which I am the most heavily versed in versus debating of the people here, which is very sad, but also kind of emblematic of how little debate there is for this matchup. All right,
Yeah, honestly,
first?
my long takes it.
I think Tai Lung just he uses the nerve attack once, and Ryuga just can't counter that kind of hack.
Yeah,
So,
what is Ryuga gonna do? Throw a top at him? It's made
is he
of
gonna just speed
plastic.
up the frying?
Now,
Yeah.
in I don't know if in America the top still refers to just a shirt, but in Australia it does. So I'm just in my head
Oh, it
imagining
does here as
Ryuga
well.
takes off his shirt and just throws that at Tai Lung, and Tai Lung just dies, just spontaneously can't handle the shirt. No, cotton. That's just the end.
The winner is Tai Lung.
Polyester, my weakness.
The Tai Lung versus Ryuga, and Ryuga killed Tai Lung, but then in the conclusion they accidentally say Tai Lung is the winner.
Oh my god, please! Oh,
Where's the
funny.
script? I'm gonna just read out the script that I sent Biff for the conclusion. Damn! There's barely enough Tai Lung left for a single dumpling. This was far from a simple matchup to decide. On the offset, Tai Lung came in with quite a few advantages. He's more skilled in training hand-to-hand combat, he generally doesn't rely on needing help from weapons, and he has far more experience in fighting foes on equal footing with him, while Ryuga sort of just bows through significantly weaker foes. However, the difference came in raw power and speed. While Tai Lung can potentially appear within the time of a single lightning flash, El Drago is on par with the speed of base like Galaxy Pegasus, who literally flies to another galaxy just to dive bomb you. A speed of over 100 trillion times that of light. Even the return stroke of lightning is nowhere near that level of speed, and it's not like the power gap was much better. Sure, Tai Lung can tear apart buildings and compare to other warriors, but even the most powerful wielders of Chi can only block up to 100 teratons of TNT. El Drago could eclipse Blaze like Twisted Tempo. A base so powerful, it could create entire space-time continuums just by spinning. Something that is literally impossible. The gap in power is more than 150 times. Damn! Tai Lung was never getting past that. And obviously Tai Lung's skills really didn't matter. He couldn't even get in close range to fight Ryuga and actually use any of it. And sure, Tai Lung has weaponized nearby fire sources, but some candles don't really compare to the power of an atmospheric re-entering meteor. This might have been an extremely close match, but... Close match? What the fuck are you talking about? This wasn't even remotely close. Tai Lung easily lost this basic matchup. The winner is Tai Lung.
Dude, that's not what you wrote. That last line. Read it out. Read out the original version.
The winner is Ryoko.
I like how we're probably 2-3 minutes into this and we've not even said the name Saitama or Popeye yet.
Nah, it seemed like he was having fun. I was just gonna let him keep going.
Yeah, no, it's funny.
So, the actual matchup, my fish just fucking exploded out of the water right as I finished saying that before I could speak, and it just caught me off guard. I don't know if he's been fed. I don't know if he's been fed. But he can fucking live for another hour. I don't care. He's like the size of
I
my
permit
head.
it.
He's the size of my head. He can go without food for like an hour or two.
Fucking hell, what kind of fish do you have?
He's an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
From Shark Tale?
I knew that. I know that's where you were going. No, he's not a blue stripe.
My mother used to have an Oscar named Hitler.
Okay, no, an Oscar's an actual fish
Yeah.
species. Okay.
Yeah, it's a real type of fish.
You learn something new every day.
They're fucking big when it comes to just fish you can have in an aquarium.
Black and orange is just it goes really well together. So.
It's I love that fat fuck over there. But yes, the actual matchup, unfortunately, is Saitama versus Popeye. And
What do you mean, unfortunately?
it's not Ryuga
I'm
versus
popping
Tai
up.
Lung.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
We could have gotten Saitama versus Booster Gold.
No.
Nah, I love that, but I wouldn't want it for a death battle. Absolutely not. I don't think Booster Gold needs to come back.
I've seen people genuinely upset it wasn't Saitama versus Psyche, as if Psyche was going to make it
told
into that battle.
I told him. Me when Death Battle does the popular matchup instead of Saitama versus Scrimblow Bimblow from the
I'm
series 3 people have ever heard of.
I'm certain that Saitama versus Psyche would have been good, but my big problem with that, just ignoring the popularity thing, is a Psyche's this like psychic dickhead. I don't know what the fuck he's gonna have to fight Saitama in animation. Like for a debate, sure, there's not much because Psyche kind of just blitzes and haxes and turns Saitama to stone. But in terms of animation, I what the fuck are you gonna do? Is Saitama just gonna punch him and he's
Oh,
just
I'm
like
not sure. I
psychically
mean, my big
floating?
issue with it is that it's not Psyche versus Gintoki, since Psyche K and Gintama have an actual rivalry.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wish Gintoki could get on
Gintoki's
Death Battle. That'd make Percy
Gintoki's
so
only
happy.
like popular matchup right now is like Deadpool, which like would have been great if
Ugh.
we had not gotten those other two Deadpool episodes.
If
As
there
the
were not
second Deadpool
38 other
episode
people
shows,
waiting in line to fight Deadpool on Death Battle.
like Batman and his magic, he just traps Deadpool in a crystal. Game over.
Batman, or the inevitability of Snake Eyes versus Deadpool in season 35.
I would genuinely be so upset if they brought in a character like Snake Eyes and he just fights Deadpool.
Yeah. I hear the movie was shit, but
Yes, it was not very good.
It's
It-
not very good, but it was entertaining to
The-
make fun of.
The thing is that the movie ends up being more of like a Storm Shadow origin because nothing about Snake Eyes is actually like that's important as explained. Like how he lost his like why he doesn't speak is like the most iconic thing about his character is he doesn't speak and they just that's not explained. What was the point of a Snake Eyes origin movie if you're not going to explain literally the most
No,
important
the worst
part of the
part
character?
about that is that by the end of the movie, he's still the same character he's been throughout the
Yeah.
movie, which is this guy that's constantly making quips and being a snarky asshole.
Literally, like the only thing they explained is where he got his training, and I feel like that's so irrelevant. Like that.
No,
you
they
can-
explain how he got his name.
Yeah, but that's fucking brain dead.
Yeah.
Like it's like when like they explain Han Solo's name. It's like before it's like yeah, that's just like a kind of neat name for the character. It stands out. It's memorable.
Yeah.
And then it's like Han Solo.
oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm looking right at your name. But
Basically, the Star Wars story.
God, fucking. Oh, Snake Eyes was not a good movie. I was very. I mean, I can't say I was terribly disappointed because I watched Black Widow right before that, and I prefer Snake Eyes, but that's not really saying anything.
Ooh.
I enjoyed the Black Widow movie well enough.
It's
not
just.
that good.
It's
That's
literally.
like that's like saying one film is a step up from the other when you've not even approached the staircase yet.
Okay, let me say the Black Widow movie is literally just a worse version of Winter Soldier. It's like it's got like the same basic setup.
Yeah.
You got like character that gets fucking ambushed by this dickhead from their past who they thought was dead and is like now this like super soldier guy, and it's like oh who is it? I wonder who it is. Though with Bucky they reveal it like fairly early so they can get the most out of the drama. While with Taskmaster is just sort of at the end it's like oh by the way that's her and you're like who? Oh yeah that person who was brought up in 2 scenes ever in the whole MCU. Both of them in this movie.
They also turn like the coolest part of Taskmaster being like the fact that he can just like memorize that shit, but it also comes at the cost of the rest of his memory. Into okay, so we took this like we literally programmed Taskmaster with this ability. She has no other free will, can't do anything else. That's all she's good for. She's literally a machine.
They literally
great.
took the name literally as in it's a master of doing every task you set in sequential order with no emotion or character. Just does the task.
So it
Yeah,
literally,
but-
and that it's quite good at completing the tasks in the hit indie game Among Us.
I didn't want to be the one to say it, but yeah.
Fuck's sakes. But, yeah, I don't like that movie. And like it also ends the same way. Like you get the big fall of this incredibly important organization to like the MCU, but the Red Rooms have been brought up rarely ever despite being actually important, unlike Taskmaster, and they just sort of go and yeah, that's it. And there's also fucking Red Guardian who's a very obvious Captain America stand-in, but fat and useless and Russian. That's his character.
He was
Yeah.
good for quite a few XDs during the movie, I must say.
He is probably my favorite character in the movie, and that's just because he embodies how I feel watching it. Completely useless, unable to help the world, realizing that everything I'm doing in this moment is just a waste of time as I sit here watching
no.
the Black Widow movie. The movie
Well,
so,
this took a somber turn.
a movie so irrelevant to the overall timeline that it makes Captain Marvel seem like an important movie for the MCU.
No, it explains how Nick Fury lost his eye, which is built up as this big thing beforehand.
And then they turn it into a joke.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Look at the funny kitty cat.
I would have been so okay if the film ended and he still had his eye. Like he just still had his eye at the end of the film, and like it just kept going, and it was like, ooh,
Like he has this big dramatic in Winter Soldier. The last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye, which now we know is code for I stuck a cat up to my face like a fucking moron.
It all leads back to Winter Soldier, which then
That's
leads
the
me-
plot of a fucking. That's the plot of a Mau Mau episode. He has like this dog friend that he trusted, and that's how he ended up losing his tail because it's a fucking dog, and I wouldn't chase a butterfly.
I heard a Mao, and I automatically filled in the blank before you finished, and
Among Us.
Oh yeah.
yes. So okay, Saitama versus
Remember when this
Popeye.
was about Saitama versus
So-
Popeye?
Saitama is going to die.
Yeah.
Though I know if he
Yep.
wins, even though he'll be wrong, Biff is going to be so happy.
Saitama's my favorite fictional
Donovan's-
character, so I'm not.
Donovan's going to be sitting there, just like, nah, that's a load of bullshit.
I'm
just
going
saying,
to
sometimes
be
wrong is
fucking
good.
seething.
Wrong can be good. Look at Hulk versus Broly.
Oh,
Look
that's
at
where I was
Iron
gonna
Man
go.
versus Lex Luthor.
I mean, it's actually debatable if Iron Man Lex Luthor is even wrong, because they did give him the
With
Endo
the
Sim.
3 armors they gave Tony.
With the Endo Sim, you can argue, like, he actually does match up to Lex Luthor's stats.
Okay, no, but Biff, to a casual audience that may not really know Hulk or Broly, then it may be excusable getting that one wrong, despite the general, like, versus community's verdict on it. If you do any amount of research into Popeye, he can blow out the sun by fucking breathing. He breathes harder than fucking Saitama punches.
Oh,
That is not.
No, hold on. No,
you cannot
no,
spin
hold on,
this
hold
into
on,
Saitama
hold on,
wins.
No. There is this one mistranslated quote on this one fucking piece of shit pamphlet, on this one fucking release of the One Punch Man anime that says the collapsing star roaring cannon can destroy stars. This
One that's not authorized by one or
unsourced-
Murata. Ooh.
This one
All right, no. Let's
unsourced
let's
piece
say
of
that we
crap
take
written-
that into consideration for a second. Then we say that Saitama's fist, his punch can overpower enough force to destroy a star. Popeye again can do that by breathing.
Yeah, but you're wrong in that he's
Also,
can't
he
breathe
gave
harder
the
than
sun a
Saitama
black
anymore.
eye without spinach.
He did give the sun a black eye.
Without even eating his greens.
Popeye beat Saitama without
Remember that
spinach.
shit that Boros did where he kicked Saitama to the moon? Popeye did that to Bluto with no spinach.
He punched Pluto so hard he turned
Okay,
him
to be
into
fair
a
though,
sausage.
that's kind of irrelevant because we know if he did that to Saitama, he wouldn't actually accomplish much because we know that's like nothing to Saitama. That's probably not the best example. I
No,
think
but
you
it
should've
does
stuck with the
mean
star thing.
Popeye's better than Boros, so fuck you, Boros.
Yeah.
I mean,
Get fucked,
yeah,
Boros.
but Boros like
He
has
can
a-
just die to Battle Beast next season.
Don't forget that if Boros used a collapsing star roaring cannon on Saitama, he had to do
Boros
serious
take a
punch.
W challenge.
But when he did it to, if he did it to Popeye, Popeye would just go really hard to the cannon, and it would just like
Popeye would
cancel
go,
out.
blow me down, and then he'd blow it back at him.
I'm so glad you added the down there. I was so worried where you were going with that.
Yeah, Popeye says, suck my dick.
No, we're not going into the Boros X Popeye fanfiction.
To be fair, he is a sailor, so he would have that kind of language if it wasn't a children's comic strip.
Oh yeah, Popeye would be fucking swearing up a storm.
And from the time period, he would be quite racist too.
What do
He
you-
was quite
what-
racist.
was.
Quite
He
racist,
called us the kind of
Don't
things he
quote
said
him,
to
don't
Japanese
quote him.
soldiers.
No,
I'm not
don't
quoting
quote
him, but the kind of things he said to Japanese soldiers is not good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's fighting a Japanese character.
Yeah.
He is. We
Hopefully
pointed
they
that.
Don't go
I-
into that part of his history. Ooh.
Damn it.
Well, that's the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if they pointed out that Popeye has been racist, but I hope that they don't go in depth, and I really, really hope. I don't expect them to. In fact, I expect them not to.
What if they did it like?
But I don't think it's a
like,
0% chance that they like say something racist for Popeye.
What if they did it like with Scrooge, where like they bring it up and they go, "Ooh, that's not a good part of his history," and that's it.
That's what I like. Yeah, I would not be opposed to them like bringing it up as long as they don't like make a big song and dance about it, I guess.
He goes, "Hey Wiz, Popeye seems to have a history of hating Japanese people because he fought in World War II. Do you think we picked the wrong opponent?"
Oh, it's probably
no.
fine. Japan doesn't exist in the world of One Punch Man.
Japan. I thought you were saying
no,
Japan
just
doesn't
ended at
exist in
Japan
real
doesn't
life.
exist.
So, that's hilarious because that is a line of dialogue in Ruby Abridged Volume 3 that nobody's fucking watched.
I've been meaning to get around to it. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
Ruby Volume 3? It's been fucking years. I would not remember.
Spend months
No,
to
abridged,
spend an
no.
hour-long, fully edited, voiced abridged thing for less than 1,000 views in 5 days? Don't mind if I do while I drop this Pokemon Death Battle review that I spent like 3 days on at most. It's only 11 minutes long and gets like 7,000 views in a day. Don't mind me just getting my ass fucked by the algorithm here.
The
Imagine
algorithm
being a
is
YouTuber.
not like it. I know, right?
Yeah, I just accidentally walked into a job 10 years after I started. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, you've been doing this long enough. Here's like a quarter."
Oh god.
Oh yeah, done. Right. To close out any semblance of debate, you want to bring up the multiverse switch thing for Popeye?
Yeah, I
Is
can.
that just when you like flicks the switch that turns off reality?
Yeah, okay, so it's really late into S.E. Cigar putting out Popeye comics while he was still alive. But Popeye I think it's near the end, he fights this guy called Big Man, who is essentially the stand-in for like the higher power, the creator, but essentially your god figure
So
in
is Big Man
Popeye's world.
racist?
Probably. But I think it's like Popeye, Olive Oil, Wimpy, and then someone else. They all show up and meet him. And Big Man flips off a switch that it says like reality or whatever, and he turns off reality. Everybody else is gone. And when he turns the switch back on eventually, no time has passed to let us know that reality really was turned off. Not only did Popeye not flinch, he was not affected at all, but he hadn't even eaten spinach at the time. Specifically, he's quoted as saying, when Big Man asks how he's still alive, "I eats me spinach," which implies that there's just passively spinach in his system, that he's just accumulated so much of it over the course of his life that it's just with him all the time.
Like, it's not like he even needs that. He can just materialize spinach just like when he's not even there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, according to official Popeye information as well, he can eat 36 tons of spinach at once.
Oh, but but that's beaten by the fact that I said in One Punch Man that Saitama can eat like 100 trillion bananas a day. So take that, you fucking spinach bastard.
Is that?
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
But anyway,
I did calc the calories of that, and it's like way too much. For a human
all of
body.
reality gets turned off. Popeye matches this guy, Big Man, who was also unaffected by it. So this is just a switch that is able to essentially turn off, delete an entire universe. And Popeye, not only does he tank it, he's just completely unaffected. But then we know from this same run of comics that there are both a 7th and an 8th dimension that you can physically travel to, whether those are like alternate realities or whether they're a part of the multiverse, and if that reality switch turns them off, we don't know for sure. But I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to say that those could also be turned off, because other dimensions are still a part of reality as a whole. So you could take this from Popeye being uni to low multi, wherever you want to throw it in there. It's really open to interpretation.
Death Battle are going to probably just like take that as some sort of hacks resistance, I imagine.
Probably.
Well, I don't think it's going to matter, but I feel like that's.
Do you think it's dimensional tiering, or
nah?
because I know before you brought it up as like Popeye would be 8-dimensional or something like that.
Don literally just said that they're like physical dimensions you can travel to, which means they can't be.
Yeah, we know that there are. We know because we know there's a physical 7th dimension because we meet beings that come from that 7th dimension, and then we see. It's very brief, but a man goes to his wife talking about how he created a machine that allows him to visit the 8th dimension.
Yeah.
Okay, so not like higher planes of reality than people can still
Though,
visit.
if we're gonna bring up the potential of dimensional tiering, there is the whole thing where he breaks the animation.
Ooh.
There is Popeye and his dad end up fighting like I don't remember what they were. They were like monsters or aliens or like goblins or some shit. They end up getting into like a big cartoon like cloud where like limbs are coming out and they're fighting. And the frame of animation they're on rips in half. And Popeye and his dad are like dangling off the side of it while the animator comes in and puts it back together with a safety pin.
Oh, please tell me Popeye like threatens the animator to give him spinach at some point.
He does do that. At some point.
I believe so. Yes.
No, I mean like in the death battle, not like.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Oh yeah.
Well, he doesn't even need to threaten the animator because several times in other Popeye cartoons and stuff, he'll look out to the audience and say something like, "Is there any spinach in the house?" And then like an audience member will give him some, or it'll be like, one time he asked just a random fish that he saw in a river. One time he just like prayed to the goddess of spinach, fucking like Spinacia or some shit like that. Or he could just materialize it out of nothing. Like he's been literally just erased or like
I was gonna think like the flashlight thing where like he's like in chains and he gets fucking
he's like chained up and he gets hit by this weird beam that like fades him out of reality, and then a can of spinach just comes out and gets eaten by literally nothing, which brings him back. Like he was able to not only materialize and eat a can of spinach with no physical being, but it brought him back.
And it should be noted that he didn't just get turned invisible because you can see the chains that were around him just sort of fall to the ground, so he's physically not there anymore.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, this isn't the first time it's happened. If I recall correctly, there's an instance where the animator erases Popeye, and once again, with no physical body to speak of, he eats some spinach, comes back, and then he jumps out of the animation and kicks the shit out of the animator that did it.
I just imagined if they have the fight and like Popeye like and Saitama travel to an animated. And Popeye just sees it's all animated in Japanese style, and he's like, "Ugh!"
He goes, "Ugh!"
I think the closest thing to
he starts speaking his gibberish when he gets mad.
The closest thing to hack Saitama has is when he like punches his way into someone's own like headspace or something like that.
Like I just like knocked on the door. And I just walked in.
It'd be funny if like Popeye punches him, turns him into a sausage, and Saitama just punches his way out of the sausage.
Yeah, he just punches him into being hot dog.
Speaking of which,
Stain just like runs in with his shot put, and he's like, "Oh boy, free kill!" And then like, just punches out of hot dog and takes Stain out. And Gara's like, "Hey, I'm gonna win without being disciplined."
Like Saitama's got some pretty powerful punches that make like shock waves that can fucking dispel attacks that are gonna blow up the planet. He can punch fast, punch hard. He's got all kinds of different punches. But Popeye's punches are something else. Like for example,
say he's got all kinds of
there's a time when I believe he's on the phone with I think Bluto or some shit, and he like punches into the phone and sends his fist through a radio wire. Or multiple times he'll eat spinach, and it'll just imbue his punches with the power to transmute something into something else, be it like turning a bull into a meat stand, an octopus into a carousel, turning Native Americans into pocket chain.
Oh.
Or one time, if I remember correctly, he punches like a tiger so hard that its tiger skin turns to leopard skin. He just changes the animal.
I remember he punched like a bull or something so hard it turned into like an entire butcher's shop.
Yeah, it turns into a little stand with meat, or like he punched a mummy so hard that it turned into like a clothesline, and it was like a bunch of cloths hung up to dry. And that's the weird thing is that he doesn't even need to punch like, because sometimes it'll be like Bluto, who he punched so hard he turned into a sausage, where Bluto himself just changes into a sausage. Sometimes he'll punch something, change what it is, and then some other stuff will just like spawn around it to set up some sort of visual gag. And not like Popeye's fists are like so versatile. They have been able to counter. I'm pretty sure he's blocked hypnosis with punches before. He's been
Yeah.
able to dispel alien ray guns. And one time, Bluto was trying to cast a spell on him. And Bluto, this was, I think, the same short where he used the same magic to turn Popeye into a parrot. Not only could Popeye copy that spell later, so Popeye does have magic. Uh, Popeye was able to just Popeye was just able to endure that spell and then punch it back at Bluto.
I don't know why I'm thinking to this like cartoon where with the hypnosis thing where Popeye's just like walking through hypnosis, punching it repeatedly. That's like what my mind goes to. I just remember thinking, what the fuck?
Roshi versus Jiraiya ending.
There are a couple of feats that I'd like to bring up for Popeye just because I find them amusing. The first, him and I believe Wimpy are out on like a boat in the middle of a storm at sea. It's like a little rowboat, and lightning starts to strike them, and Popeye is like looking around to fight because it's cartoon lightning, so it's like poking him. And he's looking around for it. Eventually, he pulls it out of the sky and he punches it, and then it turns into like human-shaped lightning, and it becomes sentient. He's imbued life and human shape into this lightning, and he throws it into the ocean and it drowns. He drowned a bolt of lightning after giving it life. And then there's the time where he's fighting a soldier, and he just eats the gun and spits the bullets at him.
He gives.
This is not the only time Popeye's. Yeah, well, yeah, Popeye, the sailor man giveth and the sailor man taketh away.
He could have just like.
There's a time as well where
I like how he could have just put the lightning in the water and it would have died. Like the lightning would have dissipated anyway. But no, he had to like make sure the lightning was alive, so it suffered before it died.
Yeah, so that it could drown. Or like, I think I remember this correctly. One time, Olive Oil is trying to like move a piano into her apartment, but her apartment's at like the very top of this big apartment building. So what does Popeye do? He doesn't use his Popeye speed or his Popeye strength to get that piano up there. He doesn't do like what a normal person would do. He takes the building and he body slams it so hard it rearranges the floors of the building so her room is on the bottom so they can get it there easier.
Brilliant.
Because doing things the normal way is just no fun.
I mean, it's really not Popeye. Popeye just. I really hope we get a lot of physical comedy.
I want to go back to the.
Oh my god! I'm realizing the cutaways in the episode. Boomstick's absolutely going to punch Wiz and turn him into something.
Or Popeye's going to come out of the TV in the background and threaten them.
Oh yeah, speaking of. More things that Popeye's punches can do. Popeye has punched Bluto so hard once that it just separated his body from the outline around it. Or I'm fairly certain Popeye has just punched Bluto hard enough to separate his soul.
That's kind of rude.
Like he just punched his soul right out of his body. Like Bluto got better. He didn't die from it. Well, he died for like a second, but he got better.
God. All of his feats, if he got in the death battle, would just be he technically survived this ass kicking.
Yeah, Bluto's feats, if like Bluto versus Pete ever happens, it'll just be, look at all the insane shit Popeye has done to him that hasn't killed him.
At one point, it would be like on Pete's side, it'd be like, oh yeah, he did this thing, he's like done all these things, and like this like one-off cartoon. But then you get to the other side, and it's just like, so this time he got his ass kicked, but he lived. He
survived being reduced to lips. He got turned into a sausage. He got sent to the moon.
I mean,
I just really wanted to reference the solid JJ videos.
if Pete turned him into a sausage, though, he could just eat him at that point. Like, that'd just be the end. I mean,
Vor, you're really advocating for Vor, Nemesis.
I didn't say he'd eat him whole.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one.
Jesus Christ. Fuck, now it's left my... Oh, yeah. Because back in the day, this was just a thing that people did, was they would adapt their little cartoon episodes into, like, biblical stories. Because that was just the thing to do. And Popeye was recounting the tale of Moses. I'm sure you know where this is going. He got tired of waiting for God to come split the Red Sea, so he just did it himself.
He fired a Beyblade, and it parted the Red Sea.
They are going to calc the Moses Red Sea.
He didn't use a Beyblade. I'm pretty sure he just used his hands.
There is already a calc for the Red Sea thing. It's like 1.4 megatons of TNT.
Oh yeah, you'd be surprised. So many people have You'd be surprised what all has been calqued from the fucking Old and New Testament.
It's so meaningless.
Why are people counting the Bible? What?
I'm gonna
Have you not seen the
God
respect
giving
threads for,
life.
like, Jesus or Moses?
Why would I look those up? Is my follow-up question to that.
Just to see
Why?
how low the versus community can get.
I've seen. Were you not there for Macho Man vs. Kool-Aid Man? I've seen how low the versus community can sink.
Like, I was just, like, perusing for some stuff, because I'm like, oh, well, I'll just see what kind of respect threads I can find. It's like, Jesus, New Testament. I'm like, alright, that's enough for today. That's enough versus community.
I am glad.
I'll at least point out that I can accept calquing, like, the parting of the Red Sea, just because while it originates from the Bible, it is also just, like, a common thing that a lot of characters have done in, like, actual series. So, like, calquing the
like
vague
splitting
idea,
oceans.
it would just back apply to Moses as well. It would just be a side effect of calquing the feat that other characters have done. So that's I can accept that, like, calculating the parting of the Red Sea, because I mean, like I said, Beyblade's done it. Popeye's apparently done it. It is just a thing that happens in media. So it would just go back to Moses.
Well, in the
Well-
Beyblade and Popeye instances, those are specifically referencing Moses, but there are
Yes.
points that, like, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I think I remember Gil doing something like that in Street Fighter.
There's a character in that game I bring up, Chain Chronicle, who did it. You don't actually see it, and it's for the whole ocean, but that happens. I don't think the Red Sea calc would be applicable, though, I mean, considering he parts basically the whole ocean, but still.
Yeah. Well, I imagine it's the same math, just on a wider scale.
Yeah, it's on a wide, because like, it goes to the horizon, while the Red Sea doesn't quite expand that far.
How many the Red Sea is the whole ocean?
2, at least.
Yeah, at least 2.
Several, actually.
Oh god, I keep getting interrupted trying to say this. I want to go back to the fact that this whole Popeye punching thing started with, yes, Saitama's got a lot of punches when he's really just got like 2. He's got regular punch and he's got a really hard punch.
He's got normal punch, he's got serious punch, he's got final blow, he's got consecutive normal punches.
No, it's really just normal punch and hard punch, and then how many he'll throw out at a time. Like, consecutive normal punches, it's literally just normal punch, but he's throwing more than one. Which kind of goes.
I really like how Rewind Rumbles Popeye, or not, Cartoon Fight Club's Popeye Saitama opens with, like, Saitama, before Popeye's even eaten his spinach, I'm pretty sure, Saitama just immediately goes for consecutive serious punches. Like, he jumped him with consecutive serious punches.
To be fair, he would kind of need to do that if he wanted any chance of winning. He would probably have to do
It's
that.
true.
Consecutive serious punches. Oh, well, that didn't work. Fuck.
I have another little tangent to go on, because this is another weirdly consistent thing, is just the lung capacity on this man. Of not only has Popeye blown out the sun, each of these feats are not going to be as impressive as that, but I think they're all entertaining enough. He's crossed between oceans in seconds just by blowing into, like, the sail on a raft before. Or one time it's like an old rotary phone, so it's got, like, the cone that you speak into and that you listen from. And he blows into the cone, and it goes through the phone wire to a lighthouse on an island in the distance, and it inflates the lighthouse and blows it up. Or several times, Popeye has just blown into his pipe hard enough to breathe fire.
If he can eat 36 tons of spinach, I dread how much, like, this whole mass of air he can hold in his lungs. Good God.
Like,
Yeah, this man is built strange.
I don't know what you could say for speed with Popeye. I think he's fought, like, his after image at some point, or his shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that would be faster than Saitama. I think it would be, like, in a similar range. I know there's, like,
well, Popeye can just exist in multiple places at once. Like, it's not like consecutive side leaps or whatever. One time Popeye ate spinach and just fielded an entire baseball game by himself. He was infield, outfield, batter, pitcher, the entire thing just by himself. Or one time he ate spinach and just became a marching band.
You would only need to be FPL for that. And that marching band one makes no fucking sense, because that means that the sound coming from the band is moving far, like, at light speed.
No, like I told you, he could just exist in multiple places
It's
at once. There's multiple
I don't think
Popeyes. He made more of them.
yeah, yeah. I could believe the pitching one. You could say could just be raw speed. If he's FTL, he'd be able to accomplish that because time would like no longer exist for a character in FTL theoretically if you could achieve it. That marching band one, yeah, he just makes clones of himself.
Right, so Saitama
Yeah.
does have a win con, I'm pretty sure. Like, if they decide that Saitama is faster, I can see them going down. Okay, no, I can't even see them going down the route of this because they've just outright said no blitz before super forms. At least the researchers have before.
The only thing
So,
I think you could argue is
Well, that's the thing is, even without spinach, Popeye is already the same level of like durability and AP Saitama is. So I don't know that he's even going to be like.
yeah.
I don't know that
true.
Blitzing's going to
the
help
only
much.
way you could argue it is if, you said Saitama was faster, and then you said he would just evade Popeye's attacks until spinach ran out, which there is like a sort
Which
of core,
is not going to help.
a core
That is
problem
not how
there.
Saitama
No,
fights his battles. He
there is
lets
a
people
core, there is
ragdoll
like
him.
just an innate problem there in that if you argue that, you kind of don't get the point of Saitama.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is that you could argue that he avoids it until the spinach runs out. Not only does Popeye have multiple ways to get a hold of spinach, does he not have any? Not only can he just spawn it at will to a seemingly unlimited degree, he can just spawn spinach whenever he needs it. Even if Saitama were to blitz and completely just turn Popeye into paste, Popeye has come back again from just fading away completely and just summoned spinach to
Yeah,
eat
like,
and come back from it.
That's what I was thinking. If Saitama was faster and then outlasted the spinach and then completely vaporized Popeye in one punch, Popeye would just eat spinach and come back.
Yeah, that's not going to keep him down. Saitama does not have a win con unless you take it completely, like, just entirely on the basis that he can genuinely beat anyone in one punch and that is fight over.
But then
Right,
that
hear me out.
no,
What if the spinach gets stuck?
Hold on, I don't think that would actually matter because if you went with that, there would be some sort of like narrative-based hacks. But then Popeye came out and punched the creator of Popeye.
Oh,
So he
yeah. Well, he didn't punch the creator.
he
This is from a comic. It's I think in a comic strip. But he's on a painting that SE Cigar is making, and Popeye turns and he grabs an apple out of the painting and lobs it at SE Cigar's head and knocks him unconscious. So he is able to actively interact with the people creating whatever medium he's in, as well as his own creator.
It's like that's the problem with like no limits fallacies is that they are innately, if you were to use them, a form of narrative related hacks. And if you can affect the narrative, which Popeye can by just stopping the narrative from continuing by taking out the guy who's writing it, then Popeye,
Right.
and then Saitama's fucked. Like Saitama's fucked because his no limits fallacy's gone at that point. So yeah, I don't actually think the no limits fallacy would help because Popeye would just kill it. He just punched.
Yeah, Saitama just has no win cons now, does he? Oh.
Yeah,
Saitama does not have a win con, and he does not have a way to win this fight. That's the thing is that if they genuinely try to make a case for Saitama winning, they are either just blatantly ignoring that he does not have win cons, or they are just like unfathomably mistaken.
I mean, they got the other two stomps. I say other two stomps. There's multiple stomps. They got the other two biggest stomps correct at least this season. So I can't imagine they're going to get this.
How are they going to come to the conclusion that I don't know? Storm might be an Omega level mutant, but like Korra can bend fire. Like Storm can't do that.
Yeah, Korra was in the same boat where she had no win con on Storm, and they didn't fuck that up.
Saitama can at least land an attack on Popeye.
Well, that's the thing is that even the thing that a lot of like prediction videos were giving Korra that she may be a better hand-to-hand combatant, they're like, no, this was the wife of Black Panther. No, she does.
Yeah.
She does not have that advantage.
Storm has like without her powers just mano-y-manoed, like Cyclops, who's a way better fighter than anyone in Avatar. Like,
Yeah, Cyclops is an excellent hand-to-hand fighter.
Yeah, he like goes up against like Logan and Daredevil and stuff, and he would match them in hand-to-hand skill. Like
I guess they're going off of like martial arts is kind of Korra's thing. Where
The only
it's not
genuine
Storm's
advantage Korra has is that her water can heal and Storm's can't.
Well, she can also bend fire, and Storm
So
can. So
can Storm.
That's
when
not
she-
an advantage. It
Storm-
doesn't add
no,
anything in her
Storm-
favor.
Storm
she
can-
can bend fire. She can bend fire.
Storm can bend fire when she's accessing like the power of the gods that came before her.
Okay, but like, can she bend fire normally though?
No, but then
Ooh, Cora,
that doesn't
Cora.
really matter. That's like saying, oh man, Saitama has the advantage because he can overpower a star level attack in base. You know, Popeye can't do that in base, and like trying to argue that is an advantage.
No,
When-
that would be like trying to argue Saitama's advantage is that he can punch really hard.
It's
Just like
it's-
generally, and the Popeye could not.
It's like if Saitama had this hacks where he can create Saki just by clapping and saying, "Oh yeah, that Popeye can't do that." Of course, I would argue Popeye probably could if he wanted to, but it's not really gonna matter. It's not really gonna matter.
Man,
Saitama
talking
can do this
talking about the
irrelevant
different feats Popeye can do in genuine relation to a death battle, the only thing that will ever match this is being able to like talk about what either Devilman or the Old Spice guy can do in a fight, which will never come. That day will not
You said-
arrive.
Hold on, you said Popeye was your top three in your top three favorite characters. I take it Devilman is number one. Is Old Spice Guy the second?
No.
Okay, I was
In
gonna
order, it would probably Devilman is probably my favorite fictional character. After that's probably Mega Man, then Popeye.
Mega Man. That's surprising. I don't recall hearing you talk much about Mega Man.
Where are the Ghostbusters ranking?
He doesn't come up a lot. Believe it or not, people aren't talking about Mega Man Classic, the character, that much.
Okay, but
That's
where,
weird
where,
because
where,
we
where
had
do
the whole
the,
multiverse thing.
where do the Ghostbusters rank?
You did have the whole multiverse match, but I don't know. I didn't interact a lot with that one.
You just ignored me and my question.
Yeah, wow.
Oh,
Take
sorry.
it out.
What was it?
Where do the Ghostbusters rank?
Where do the go? That's a good question. Because I just saw Ghostbusters Afterlife recently, and it made me remember.
You brought up the
like,
Ghostbusters like your favorite movie, and I was thinking, where do they go? Like, which
Yeah.
one's your favorite?
Which one is my favorite? I really, really do like Venkman. Well, I like all the Ghostbusters about equally because I like them all for
Yeah.
different reasons.
Which is why I brought them up as like a collective. Where would the collective first four Ghostbusters go?
I like them all, but Bill Murray's performance shoots him that much higher.
Fuck, that's a hard question. They're probably as a collective in the top 10, but I'm not sure that I could solidly place them like top 5. I really love that movie, and I really love fucking loved Afterlife, but
I know that
I don't know.
I know Venkman's the most popular. I know it's because of Bill Murray. I think Harold Ramis deserves credit for his performance too. Like he pulled the straight man.
Absolutely.
he pulled
Egon
it's
Spengler
so
is
perfect.
such a fun character.
Yeah. Anyway, if Devilman gets on the show, I hope he's done better justice than my favorite character was, and I will say the same for Saitama. In Saitama's Popeye for Biff.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
really want them to get Saitama right.
I'm still so upset with Optimus Prime's characterization. Like the fact that one of his only lines is just going, "Oh man, I'm so fucking good, you fucking piece of shit Decepticon," which is kind of like if Saitama like walked in and just for no reason said, "Wow, I'm so excited today. I really want to fight someone, and like I'm gonna get the most out of it. I absolutely, man, you Popeye. I don't know anything about you. You're gonna be so fun to fight."
Oh no!
Like that. Or like if Devilman walked up
Yeah,
to
that's
Etrigan and said that he really loved Etrigan. Oh man, Etrigan, you're so cute. Ooh.
That is how Brandon.
Oh, you're a
would
demon. I love that about you. Demons and humans are the best.
Dude.
That is just how
Demons
Brandon
are
will
so
react upon
adorable.
seeing a D tier DC character.
Okay,
Nah, but, like-
Etrigan is at least B tier.
A lot of the time, if I'm completely honest, Devilman's not even really done justice by the people who handle the franchise. Go Nagai has even written Devilman pretty stinky a couple of times.
Yeah, well, you can say the same for Akira Toriyama, but you're not going to see people going on about, oh man, Goku. Oh wait, no, you will see people going on about Goku. Never mind.
Absolutely, you will. Dragon Ball fans hate Goku.
Dragon Ball fans just don't like anyone.
No, Dragon Ball fans are just impossible. Dragon Ball fan enjoy anything in life challenge.
Dragon Ball fans are gonna
Definitely.
like the general consensus at best you'll find is they like Vegeta, Piccolo, and Beerus, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Everyone else,
Oh my god, Brandon
and
I
posted
really love
earlier.
Krillin's my favorite character. Vegeta's number 2, and probably Janemba's number 3.
I really like
Brandon
Yamcha.
posted earlier, like the Death Battle fans have fun challenge, and I feel Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's like in a similar boat.
This reminds me that just drags me to when I made that like multiverses thing for Boomsday. He's like biased against Dragon Ball.
Oh, it's true because they've never won.
Yeah, they've never won.
Just
Like,
hate Dragon
the only
Ball.
time they ever won was
Never.
Vegeta versus Shadow, and that was like obvious.
Yeah,
Obvious bias,
Vegeta doesn't
'cause, like,
count.
it's
18 doesn't count. Roshi doesn't count.
No, Vegeta counts.
fucking
Vegeta's the only one that counts.
Broly doesn't count.
Mhm.
This reminds me of like
Even
when
though
everyone
they
was
never
saying,
lost for 6 years.
Roshi doesn't count because he's old. 18 doesn't count because they're both
okay,
boring
say it
characters.
then.
it's
Okay, right. Went the other
18
direction,
doesn't
okay.
count because she's a female, and females in Dragon Ball get about the treatment that females in most shonen series get actually.
Okay, so you did just
Yeah,
go ahead
fair
and say
enough.
it. Okay, then.
And then Broly doesn't count because the result is wrong.
And Beerus doesn't count because Galaxia has like infinite like universal death hacks. as we all
Beerus
know.
doesn't count because it's sexism because the one that lost was a woman.
Beerus doesn't count because it was wrong.
Jonathan, no.
It's clearly wrong because Galaxia said that she's going to bring death to a planet, so that means she has like this universal death hacks, as we know.
Oh yeah,
That's
She did bring death to a
that's
planet. She
genuinely
blew
the-
up the
that
Earth.
one's
That's generally
wrong
the
because
argument.
Beerus is a cat and I like dogs better.
Galaxia seems like a dog woman, so she would probably just like bring a dog and Beerus would die.
She seems pretty human to me.
Yes, well she's not. She's an alien.
Oh yeah, she is.
She's a fucking Sailor Scout from like another fucking world, you dickhead.
Well, she's certainly not a dog.
I mean, you can't say for sure she doesn't have any dog blood in her, like some sort of alien equivalent of a dog.
I can't say for sure that you don't have any dog blood in you.
You can, because dog-blooded humans don't exist in the real world.
To your knowledge.
Yeah, to my knowledge or to your knowledge, but at the same time, you could be you could be Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII, and like you wouldn't have any argument against that, because that's.
Well, I could also be somewhere else right now, but you know.
You could, but you're the one who wanted
Yeah,
to.
it's me, but I could be out fighting Sephiroth right now.
Yeah, I could go fight Sephiroth.
You could be off like just farming in Final Fantasy VII Remake, not realizing the game's already padded enough as it is.
At least of other things I could do with my time.
That's not Cloud.
Yo, Sal, can you say the Lobo fell? The Lobo.
Holy frackaroli!
And this is just where most calls with us devolve into
Yeah.
Well, because like
the Lobo fell.
there is no debate. There is like no debate in this matchup.
No.
We're
There
not.
really
Absolutely
is. I think
not.
we've talked about a collective
It's been 47
10
minutes.
minutes.
It's been 47 minutes since I started, and overall,
Well-
we're at the end of like the whole debating thing. Like, there's nothing to talk about. This is
We
why
brought up the sun stuff, and that was already the end of the debate thing. Everything else was icing
Yeah.
on the cake.
Well,
You
I
just-
mean, like, okay, so I do want to address that there's a lot of people that are like, oh, this fight's not thematic, this fight's not fair, this is boring, this isn't the matchup that I wanted for this character, or like, what is the legacy? I mean, as far as the legacy goes, I imagine it's a Yoda Mickey thing where it's like these two characters were blacklisted from Death Battle, so eventually they're like, why not put them together?
I
The
don't
same way I imagine it applies to Popeye and Saitama, that they're heralded as like these unbeatable like pinnacles of power in verses. So they're like, why not make them fight each other?
I think in terms of legacy, I don't think it has much to do with Popeye. It's absolutely going to do with Saitama, and how they said like, oh, we're not going to do Saitama until the story ends, which does in fact mean that there are a bunch of lying sacks of shit that we can't take
Yeah.
their word, which of course means that we can look at Ben Singer's claim they're not going to do Vegeta versus Zod, and you know,
I would be like shocked if you looked at the suggestion form, took the top 10 highest requested things, and like 2 or 3 of them were not Saitama. Like, just,
Honestly, yeah.
like,
Well,
I
then
would be
there's-
shocked
there's
if all
actually-
my Goku and Superman were not all in the top 10 with Saitama.
at least with Superman, like
Right.
he already got like a DBX, so I could imagine they were thinking that DBX was like a year ago, so we probably shouldn't do it. And when it comes to Goku, it's like Saitama vs Goku, like Saitama's going to bring in views on his own, so you don't really need to like worry about the view
Mhm.
problem with Saitama. So any of his matchups would have brought in views. That includes Psyche. Um, so they were probably thinking Goku's not really that great a matchup for Saitama. We should probably go with like a character that matches his like goofiness a bit better.
They outright said that on Death Outcast when they did Saitama Krillin, and they just said, "Oh yeah, no, Saitama probably belongs with like Popeye and Arale and like other cartoony characters."
Yeah, and also Krillin beats. Even though
Yeah,
wait,
I
no,
Oh yeah,
mean,
Krillin
Saitama
I
kicks his
wouldn't,
shit.
I wouldn't
Krillin
have been
fucking
mad at like Saitama versus Captain Underpants or the Tick, but I'm sure a lot of people would have been.
yeah. I
I
know
would
Biff
have
would have.
liked Captain Underpants, but Popeye was probably my second pick.
I would have been okay with either of those options. The Tick just seems like such a weird choice for a death battle. I don't know why.
Does. And it's weird because, like, based on their showings, it shouldn't be that far of a gap, at least power-wise.
I think the Tick should fight Sentinel Prime from Transformers Animated, honestly, because the theme is that they're Townsend Coleman and they have a really big chin.
Oh, yeah.
That is the thing. I mean, Sentinel Prime is
Yeah, this,
designed off the Tick, so
like, by all means, especially, like, for the things that I look for in whether or not I like a matchup or not, like, you know, is it fairly thematic? Is it kind of debatable? Would I like... The main thing I look for is, would I like to see these two characters interact in a fight? And it's like... I don't think this particularly checks any of those boxes super strongly, because thematically, these two characters aren't really that similar whatsoever. Debate, we've already covered that.
Yeah,
And then,
even I know
if
that.
you asked me the kind of characters I would have liked to see Saitama or Popeye like interact with, even in a fight scenario, each other would not be like anywhere near the top of my list. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not really upset with this result. I'm happy to see them both. I really love both of these characters, and it still feels strange that this is happening at all, because I had my doubts about Popeye even showing up on a death battle, really.
I didn't really have
From
doubts
my
that he would show up. I just doubted that he would be like the first choice.
That like obviously it's not a very close match in the slightest. In terms of like connections, there's a core theme of them just being like impossibly overpowered, can solve any problem with a single punch. They don't need to have a Bible's worth of connections for it to work. And realize that out of all the Saitama opponents, Captain Underpants probably was not going to happen. The other two most likely were Goku and Superman, and fuck either of those matches happening. God, those would have made me so sad. But, like, Popeye gives us our first real classic cartoon character, like really old school classic cartoon
Scrooge
character.
McDuck.
And also, like,
I'll say
I wouldn't
again,
even
Scrooge
count.
McDuck is like the oldest character like, on Death
Would
Battle.
I count Scrooge in that?
I would count him.
I'm not too sure.
What year was Scrooge first introduced?
It's like 1914, I think.
Oh shit! Okay, so then he would
Like Scrooge McDuck is
probably
old. He's
count.
older than. He's like the only character they've used older than Superman, I think. I'm gonna.
Well,
look it up
Scrooge
just to
McDuck
be
is
sure.
1914, and
Okay.
I actually have these memorized, I think. Felix the Cat, I think, first shows up in 1919. Mickey Mouse first showed up December of 1928. A month later, January of 1929, Popeye first shows up in the Thimble Theater comic strip. And then 10 years after Mickey, in 1938, we get our first glimpse of Bugs Bunny.
It's just more cartoons,
trying
mate.
to
I'm
think
just happy to see more
if-
cartoons.
I might have gotten Scrooge wrong. It might be 1947. It's 1947 or 1914 for Scrooge. Either one of those makes him pretty fucking old.
1914 would predate Mickey Mouse, so I have my doubts.
I think because Scrooge debuted as a comic, right? He like debuted in a comic. Same with Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
hold on.
so it's more cartoon rap, and
I think
also
it's
it
probably
is
1947.
my favorite character ever.
I think it's probably 1947.
Scrooge McDuck first showed up in 1947. So
I was-
Popeye at this point, if you're counting Mickey as King Mickey, would be the oldest character they've used on a death battle, I think.
I mean, hold on. There is
sure.
actually one possible. Let me check something. When did Popeye make his debut?
January. Hold on. January 1929.
Okay, so he's a
Okay,
little bit. He's
I've
a
got-
little bit older than Chuck Norris.
I googled
January
it, and
17th, 1929.
I googled it, and it's giving me the first episode air date for the cartoon series, which is 1960. So I don't think the one I've got is quite right.
I mean,
The character first appeared in the Daily King Features comic strip Thimble Theater on January 17th, 1929, and it became the strip's title in later years.
yeah,
I think his first cartoon appearance was he was in an episode of a Betty Boop cartoon.
that makes him.
Okay,
40.
the comic that he debuted in was debuted in 1919. Like, he made his appearance in 1929, but the comic strip itself had been going on for 10 years, if what I'm reading
What?
is right.
Theater comics?
The American
Yeah,
Thimble Theater.
Yes.
Just yeah.
Thimble Theater first started under EC Cigar in
that
1919.
makes him about 4 years
Mhm.
older than the oldest version of Superman.
Yeah. EC Cigar, this is just a fun little thing about the creator, was that people would mispronounce his name upon reading it a lot. It's spelled Segar. So the way he would help people out with that was whenever he signed an autograph, he would sign his name with like a little cigar with a trail of smoke on the end.
That's
That's
was
nice.
that like? Does that inspire, or did that inspire the design for Popeye at all to have the piper or something like that?
I'm not sure. I know the in-lore reason for Popeye having a pipe was because he was born in some sort of coastal storm off the coast of Santa Monica.
Well,
I think
yeah,
Popeye's
imagine the
most
coastal
consistent.
storm would be off the coast. That is what makes it a coastal storm and not a storm.
Well, you know what? He's generally portrayed around 40 years old, so we'll say 40 years ago for the context of the story. Eventually, he ends up at this like little orphanage, and they take him in. And when they find him, all he has with him, other than like the cloth he's been swaddled up in, is a tobacco pipe that his father left him, and that's what leads him later to try and like seek out his father.
Oh my god.
So-
Popeye
Oh,
versus
it's the
Boomstick.
Boomstick's dad character. No.
You know,
So,
that
so
reminds me of how I went on
as
searching
far
for
back
my
as-
dad.
As far back as Popeye being like a newborn infant, he has had that pipe.
That doesn't sound healthy.
The deep lore
And
of the
like
Popeye.
Popeye's backstory, like, at least like his early formative years in the orphanage, really does come down to it's kind of the same thing that they said for Chuck Norris when they say, eventually at a point he realized he was just really good at kicking people's asses.
You just realize that.
I
Oh,
like how
hey,
this has been.
when I punch this person,
'Cause
they
Popeye-
stop.
Popeye would get in fights a lot, and he realized he was just really good at physically harming people. And then eventually he goes to work for like this whaler. He becomes a sailor on a ship with a bunch of other people.
Shouldn't he be
He
called
ends up
Popeye
fighting-
the Whaler Man?
Well, he's not a whaler anymore. He was a sailor for most of his life, and he's also a veteran from World War II. But the reason they call him Popeye, and it's weird because they give him the nickname Popeye when he gets in a fight with a character just known as the Ape, who is this big man that punched him in the eye, so he lost vision in one of his eyes. That's why he squints all the time in that one.
Oh shit!
And that's why they-
susceptible to that. What if Saitama just punched his other eye and he was blind?
Well, that's the thing is, I don't think it's clear whether or not that's how he got the name Popeye overall, or if they made the joke Popeye about his name already being Popeye.
What if his actual name's just like Greg?
Or Donovan.
I don't think so. Imagine being named Donovan.
It'd be so
I
cringe.
know, right?
A poor soul.
He was born on this
I
coastal
like how this has
storm.
just been like the
on the
Popeye podcast. Then sometimes you'll mention Saitama.
Let's spend some time going over Saitama and his feats. Okay, so
I guess.
Saitama's direct feats are all crap
Punch the
compared to
planet
just him
laser
punching
and
the
nothing
laser.
else matters.
He would scale, like, obviously his most impactful direct feat is when he jumps from the moon, lands on Boris's ship, and like makes that huge impact that tilts it. But I think you can get to multi-continental. Then obviously he'll scale above Psychos, Orochi, whatever, doing that small planet level feat that Tatsumaki also scales to, and she got.
I feel like the
she
Psycho
fucking-
stuff being calc at Small Planet means that like that just means indisputably now the Boros stuff is concretely planet level. There's no
Yeah.
debate about it being multi-continent.
Because
At least I would have to assume.
you wouldn't be able to argue that Psychos is more powerful than Boros, because like just I think someone made like a chart.
The fact that Tatsumaki can beat Psychos,
yeah, and
I do not think she can beat Boros.
I think she would put up a fight against Boros until like at least until he like gets his armor off. She
Saitama does himself blatantly state that eventually Monster Garo is stronger than Boros, though, right?
no.
That's
no.
one that said they
That's
would have
one who
like a
said-
good fight.
Like he's not a versus developers
Oh,
one thing
okay.
with one, but he said like they
But
have
also,
a good fight. I think it's just that because like Garo is more skilled is really
yeah, I would have to imagine that like if they were close in power, then Boros would get his ass kicked just due to Garo's overwhelming skill. So I would have to assume.
There is this
Actually,
much
I'm,
of like
I'm not sure Boros
each
would,
of
'cause
each of
Boros has that
Saitama's
regen.
punches was shredding through Boros. His regen was what saved him. Garo was actually able to physically like be intact when
Yeah,
Saitama
but then the
hit
thing is
him.
that Saitama punches a lot of humans. He never like hurts a human that badly.
He goes out of his way to not kill
yeah.
him.
Like, by
Also,
that
Boros
logic,
did take that one punch to the stomach.
By that logic, Snack is more powerful than Boros. Because Snack just survives getting whopped that one time. But I think it's because like Saitama has no intention of killing Garo, right? Because like Garo is not even like that bad.
Yeah,
a person,
he just wants to discipline him.
terribly. Yes, unironically.
How are you
yes.
gonna discipline Garo?
Yeah,
Unironically,
they're
he
not
does.
going to discipline
But
Gara.
Boros, like Saitama's like in there to kill. He's gonna kill Boros. He just wants to give like Boros a good fight before it's like he kills him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the best thing you can give a Saitama is scaling to the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, which is planetary. You could argue style level from that one completely unsourced piece of crap in one single fucking Blu-ray release that one and Murata didn't write. Literally just some random dickhead Joe just wrote Hoshi, and
Give me
then
a
it got
second.
translated to Star, and they were like, oh well, it's called the Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon, it must be the Star Busting Attack, you know? Which is despite the fact that
It could also just be a mistranslation.
it is definitely a mistranslation. Because like the original webcomic translation, I think called it the Planet Destroying Roaring Cannon, because Hoshi is written in it. So I think it's just like because the common translation for it is Collapsing Star Roaring Cannon. Whoever was translating it just thought, oh well, it's probably like a star destroying attack then based on the name. So I would just put Saitama at like massively upscaling from planet level.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of speed, I think the best speed gag still is Saitama throwing that rock at Garyugan shoot.
What is that? It was counter relativistic, right?
That's 4 times the speed of light.
Oh shit! I was
Like
not aware of
he
that.
throws it so much faster than Geryugen Shoot could, and Geryugen Shoot is like directly stated that he's more potent than Tatsumaki in speed because he can defy like physics to throw it faster than light. Well,
Right.
Tatsumaki can't do that. She is bound by the laws of physics, which of course means she's FTL anyway because she upscales from some FTL, from like some relativistic and FTL stuff. Flashy Flash obviously has a 2 times the speed of light feat, I believe. I'm not sure how.
And Saitama's just like
Yeah.
keeping up with all these guys. Really,
Yeah,
this is
like-
not
like-
even serious. Saitama.
Like any feat in One Punch Man, Saitama upscales from just
I
casually.
remember. I don't know if it's calced or if it's even calcable or not. I remember specifically though. I think it was a part that Murata has adapted at this point, where Flashy Flash is like going around doing all the shit, and at the bottom corner there's like a little counter of like how many fractions of a second
it's
it's
like
been.
I think it's
In the new one, Garo has like a thing where he moves and it's like 40 microseconds or something like that of a lapse.
in the webcomic, it's either picoseconds or femtoseconds that Flashy Flash moves in. That's pretty impressive. There's also the new thing with God coming out of the moon.
That is a thing, isn't it? But God hasn't really done anything in the series. Has he?
That was
He gave
calculated.
Homeless
That
Emperor his
was
power.
calculated like multi-continental the moon. So I guess like that's a thing. It's not gonna really get brought up because it's not only is it super late, it's also
God.
completely irrelevant because literally all he does is just stand up. I was like, "Hey guys, how you doing? I'm."
Oh, I thought that was just like I didn't think that was something that happened in the story. I have not read the like newest chapter yet. The last one I read was King bullshitting his way out of a fight with Homeless Emperor.
Yeah.
I love that. I have reread
wasn't
that.
it?
It's so funny. It's so good.
Yeah. So
Just
there was
Everything with King is so funny, man.
there was your Saitama love. That's where he scales to. He's like massively above planet, massively above baseline FTL.
What do you guys want to see in the animation? Let's.
Spinach.
I think that's.
I
want to see like.
I wonder if they're gonna reference that time
j-
Popeye was powered by garlic instead.
I don't remember that.
I think there's just a time he just sniffs garlic and he just gets his spinach
Oh,
powers.
he's Wario.
That's what came to mind too. Like he just does it with garlic. I don't think that's gonna get referenced. That's so minute.
I would love if like they had a final clash and then like Saitama actually comes out on top in that final clash. He like destroys Popeye's arm, but he runs out of spinach powers, and then before he can take the win, Popeye like he just like gives the animator a glare. It would like cut to live action of the person animating it, and then he'd like draw in a spinach can. Popeye just eats it,
Man,
and then
like
is back in peak condition.
I don't know what you could really call like an iconic like Popeye like fight moment to like call back to a reference like they do a lot in Death Battle, because like this character's existed for 92 years and had so many fights in that amount of time and done so many things, had so many like staple parts of it. Like even spinach wasn't a part of his character until like I think a few years into his run, because originally they had like this chicken called like Henrietta the Wiffle Hen or some shit that they would like rub its head or some shit and it would grant them a wish, until I think spinach came into the cartoon.
I think if they they could have say Popeye punch Saitama so hard that he like flies out of his outline, and then like as Saitama is processing what's going on, he hits the outline again, and Saitama feels the pain from that, and then the outline crashes into him and puts him back to normal, and he's just kind of like left trying to process what is going on.
I want to see Popeye work in somehow sending a punch through a radio wire.
Around like in this video, around like the 4-minute mark, he just sniffs garlic, and that just gives him his power. I don't even know how that works, because garlic is like completely different to spinach, but you know.
He didn't even eat it. It's just the stench.
He sniffs the fumes from the clove of garlic, and that powers him up.
Ooh, rancid.
It's fucking terrible. I like garlic. I wouldn't go in sniffing a big chunk of it though. That's terrible.
I can't eat garlic. Last time I did, I almost died.
Okay,
That's
so
fucking dire.
apparently the garlic
really
does
bad.
not power him up as much as spinach because he immediately got his ass kicked. All right.
It obviously doesn't
And
power him
then
as
is-
much. Nothing will power him as much as spinach. But he does.
No,
like,
the one thing that I will give is that if Saitama is able to take a can of spinach from Popeye and eat it, the spinach does power up indiscriminately. Whoever eats that spinach does get powered up.
Ooh, so Saitama eats the spinach and just wins.
I can't particularly picture Saitama.
I'm not saying that he would. I'm saying that that is a thing that could happen.
Alright, I think the thing with the garlic is that it does power him up. It's just that it doesn't like last as long as a spinach. And then Blue just uses chlorophyll to destroy it, and then punches Popeye through a fucking spinach field. You fucking
I would
moron.
roll.
You
I really want the
absolute
track to be
fucking
good.
you absolute fucking goon. You just punched Popeye directly into a spinach field. What the fuck do you think's gonna happen?
I want
mate?
somehow for them to reference that spinach on several occasions just gives him an advanced knowledge of like electrical and mechanical work, of like being able to repair like wires, repair cars, or just like infrastructural work, like he can repair bridges and stuff.
I am hoping, like, maybe a scene where Saitama just, like, beating the shit out of Popeye, like, without the spinach. Saitama's able to nab the spinach before Popeye is able to eat it, but then, like, he would give it back to him, because he'd hear, like, okay, if this will make you stronger, I guess. And then, like, just hoping
Top
that
10
gives him a
dumbest
good fight.
moments. I could just imagine the whole like radio eye thing. Like Popeye just punches Saitama really hard to like a different continent. Saitama lands near a payphone and it just starts ringing, and for no reason he picks it up and Popeye just punches into the payphone.
That would be great.
Watch this.
I imagine. No, I want to see. Say Popeye's like, "How'd you get so strong?" And he's like, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day. How did you get so powerful? I eats me
Yeah,
spinach.
it really is.
Oh, wait,
I think has
Huh?
Popeye
What are
ever
you saying
fought
now?
someone who's like his physical equal?
Uh, yeah,
I
a
was,
couple of times. Well, olive oil doesn't really count because he will not strike a woman. He won't fight back. But when she eats spinach, she does grow to about the same
holy
power.
shit! A
Bluto is
peach
able
can
to
defeat
match him
Popeye.
base to base, but once he eats spinach, Bluto usually gets his ass kicked. But Bluto can usually survive whatever he throws out. Um, even like the god tiers, like Jeeps from the seventh dimension, not the car. It's like a weird leopard creature.
I was assuming
And
it wasn't a
Big
car.
Man.
Yes.
Even Jeeps and Big Man aren't like not really a match for Popeye when he tries. There is one character that we have ever seen to be above Popeye, and that's a character called Eugene the Jeep, who is a recurring character within the comics, who is a little friendly Jeep that they have. And it's the very end of the CE Cigar comic strip where they're like giving their send off, and then Sweet Pea, Popeye's son, says, Eugene says he'll keep us in his thoughts, and Popeye says, well, tell him to get us out of them. And then they all just fade away.
Oh
Wow.
my god.
Eugene the Jeep.
So apparently with a single thought, Eugene the Jeep is able to just completely erase everyone, including Popeye.
New Mix-It Spittlelick opponent. Holy shit!
I would
Yeah,
love it,
honestly,
like-
because Eugene the Jeep does all kinds of weird reality warping
I
shit.
think Eugene the Jeep probably matches Batmite a bit better, honestly, just because Batmite has that absolute gremlin energy,
like Shy Dude.
and also Mix-It Spittlelick isn't like he's associated with Superman, but he does a lot of things on his own. Batmite is that sort of character that's really heavily associated with someone.
Batmite reminds me of that one like watcher in Marvel Comics that's just like a huge fan of all the superheroes.
Uatu?
Yeah.
Yeah. Batmite
The
doesn't
one
have
that's
any
from
good
What
matchups.
If?
But then also, I don't really want Batmite in Death Battle. The only thing I ever
Yeah,
wanted
no,
for
not
Batmite
really.
was a fucking Lego minifigure, and I got it, and I just sitting there now.
Lego
Doing nothing,
Thanos.
picking up-
I wouldn't be mad at Mr. Mix's Pitlick in a death battle. Even if it's not taken super seriously, I'd love to just see the silly antics.
Do you have a matchup for him you like to any like major degree?
None that I can think of, because like I could imagine seeing him interact with someone like Bill would be entertaining, but it's not fair.
I think the only fair matchup for Mixie is Shuma Gorath. That's the only fair matchup for Mixie.
But aren't those? Isn't Shuma like stronger than anyone Death Battle has ever used ever?
So's Mixie.
Far.
Well, that's the thing, is that Shuma Gorath isn't so much of like a silly shithead like nuisance
No,
as
that's really only
Mixed
that's
Pelican.
really in Marvel vs. Capcom. Like Shuma Gorath is far more on the like eldritch horror side of things.
Shuma Gorath is there entirely to plunge the world into chaos and madness.
Yeah. He's probably closer to Emperor Joker than Mixer Spittlelick. I'd say
Yeah, my main.
like obviously Mixie
Where
has...
where Mixie will use his powers to just inconvenience you the entire day and just kind of be a prick. Shuma Gorath is there to make sure that the rest of your existence will just be endless agony.
Yeah, that's why I said Emperor Joker technically matches Shuma Gorath more than Mixer Spittlelick himself.
Because he brings like, Batman back a bunch
Batman
of
has it out
times.
for everybody.
Yeah, I honestly the only Mixie matchup I actually like is fucking Q from Star Trek. Because all Q does is just inconvenience people with his ridiculous godlike power. Like he's like just like Mixie, he has moments where he's serious, but usually he's just being a shithead. And like
That might remind me of the fucking rabbit from Wonder Pets.
Would bring up Wonder Pants, Donovan. You would.
there's
If you
also-
remember the rabbit, he like every single time he would join a mission, he would fuck something up, but he's just trying his best.
Oh,
I
wait.
just remember that the main three was like a hamster, a duck, and a turtle. And
But
there's an
guys-
episode where
Well,
they
Lenny,
reenact the
Tuck, and
Finding
Ming
Nemo
Ming.
whale scene. Yeah, they reenact the Finding Nemo whale scene, and that's all I remember.
You guys, you can't believe none of you remember that Mixie Spittlelick has a matchup with like a Z-list Marvel character.
Because I am very well versed in Z.
How did
tier
you not
Marvel
know about
characters.
Impossible Man? He's literally
I remember him
gremlin.
actually. I do know about him.
Absolute.
How do you not know about whatever that green X-Men character is called, Dupe or whatever?
That's not Impossible Man though.
Well, not many things are impossible, man. I think you'll find.
Neither's Mixospitalik, even though there was a bunch of jokes that they were the same character until they crossed over and was like, yeah, nah, mate. Fuck off.
Yeah, I think I remember those.
Yes, absolutely.
I just remember Impossible Man was in the cartoon one time, with the Avengers Assemble cartoon.
Literal nobody character.
He was very annoying. I remember that much.
I mean,
he had a fake out death, and I did not care.
Those kind of archetype. That is the kind of archetype of characters, just like really annoying. Even in universe.
To be fair, he was also like the biggest Falcon stan on the planet. So like,
yeah, but
that's his personality.
He's not a War Machine stan, so you don't like him.
I like what the Marvel vs. DC / Amalgam comics insinuate with like there being two brothers that inherently they're like the top of the food chain, like the top of all things that represent Marvel and DC as a whole, because apparently things like Image, Dynamite, Boom, Dark Horse, those comic strips aren't, those like comic companies are not important enough to be deities.
I don't even think the brothers Yin Yang would be the top of the food chain. Like their powers are being held back by Living Tribunal and Spectre, so like they're not even like up there with like Lucifer Morningstar or the White Hot Phoenix or fucking obviously God. So they're not even the top of the food
Or the
chain.
one above all.
Yeah, that's God. The one above all, the source. Blabbity bloobity.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the DC something.
But like, I don't even know if they could fight Michael Demiurgos, let alone Lucifer. So they're not even. I think the strongest form of Swamp Thing is more powerful than the brothers Yin Yang.
I mean, to be fair, Swamp Thing is very green.
Yes, you're not wrong. God, when Swamp Thing gets on Death Battle, I'm gonna just tune out for the entire prediction because I know who I'm gonna get, and I'm just not gonna pay attention. It's gonna be like, yeah, you just talk about shit. I don't care.
You just be like, all right, I'm handing over the microphone to these two. You go ahead and listen.
You talk about DC. You talk about Marvel. Just go ahead. Figure it out yourself.
So what you're describing is a Nemesis Bloodbreak podcast prediction. Is that what you're saying?
Well, usually I have some input. I say some things. This would just be nothing. I wouldn't be there the whole time.
Are you telling me you don't have a vested interest in either lumps of algae vaguely shaped like a man?
If they did Man Thing versus Ultimate Cars, I would be really happy just because that's so fucking stupid. But aside from that...
Why would they do that?
Because they're both beyond sex, Donovan.
Oh, okay.
I have not understood a word that has been said for the last 5 minutes, except for that.
So, Man Thing has a statement that it is beyond sex, and Ultimate Cars very famously has that one diagram of him that says sex irrelevant. So,
Oh my god.
beyond sex. They are the most unhorny characters this Death Battle could ever use.
Damn, so in other words, Ducko would not want this episode.
Ducko he'd be broken, he'd be shattered.
Ducko's too busy, like, pining for Lizard versus Killer Croc and Black
I don't know why
Adam.
my brain put Man Thing in the spot of fucking Doom in that one infamous page where it's like, I was sex once, and I found it beneath me. We would laugh at that.
We would laugh at that. That's better than...
You laughed at Has Been Hotel Biffweed.
No, Sai laughed at that, and I laughed at Sai laughing.
Wait, Sai laughed at
Hold
on.
We'll give you the context after the recording's over now. Yeah. We'll explain later.
Beautiful.
William, I said I will just laugh at anything.
Yeah, this has been about as off topic as I expected this prediction to be. Like,
yeah.
Well, there's no debate to be had. You just bring in the biggest fucking Saitama stan and the biggest Popeye stan you know. Like,
and the Saitama stan.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, so Saitama eats a big fat L.
Oh, absolutely. I am not a like.
Saitama
I do
Saitama
not
loses
participate
this.
in the versus side.
Saitama loses this
This,
harder
this
than most of his opponents lose to him in series.
Biff may be a Saitama stan, but he has a brain.
He's
I
not an idiot.
debatable, but even as someone who I have never really taken part in versus debating, I have a passing knowledge of versus stats. From my very limited understanding, even I know that Popeye is about
Oh,
to take the fattest fucking
except
W I have seen in
hold on,
ages.
except JoJo's. You're an expert on JoJo's.
Oh, of course, I do indeed know that Dio is probably at least building level. It's likely.
You didn't really need me to explain Man Thing versus Cars. You're just an expert. You already knew.
Of course. Of course, I'm just the genius.
That was for Donovan's smooth little brain to understand that he's never even seen.
Of course. Of course, I had the entire transcript for this entire prediction open in my mind the entire time. I knew where every single conversation topic was going to go.
Yeah.
Biff is trying to be Aizen. I planned all of this from the
Yes,
start.
guys.
I planned your parents meeting and conceiving you.
It's quite a surprise because the omniscient God himself would not have any idea where the fuck any of this is going.
No one can ever predict where our conversations are going because there is no right
I would
reason
go
to
something
anything.
I would go, wow, who could possibly guess where this goes? And they would say, God knows. And I would say, nah, he really fucking doesn't.
Yeah, you would not expect me. You would not expect me to post in the chat what I am about to post right now.
I'm not playing that because it will be heard in the prediction. I don't want.
Oh my god, Biff! A heroin needle? How could you?
Yeah, the picture. Let's go with that.
Bastard.
You bastard! I thought you were clean.
No.
I guess relapse gets the best of us.
It always has. I'm a has-been hotel
It
addict,
is now.
you could say.
I don't even know how I'm going to do a thumbnail for Popeye vs Saitama. I just don't know what the hell I'm gonna do.
I mean, you
I might
could
just-
take
I
the
might
one
just
from
use
your own video.
I might just use that one. Yeah. Which
Yeah,
I
just
don't
the image of
remember.
spinach.
It's just spinach, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and Saitama's got his face in the OK speech, but they're absolutely going to do the OK thing at some point in the fight.
Which is
There's
funny
no way
because
they're
it
not
won't
gonna
even
do
be
it.
the first time it's appeared in a death battle animation.
Yeah, my guy had it in the weird Dracula cameo. I still don't get that.
That makes no sense. I get All Might doing it because, there are service level comparisons people make between them, and I can, yeah. But I don't get
Well,
why
that's
Popeye
the
is
weird
so-
thing, though, is as much of a meme as OK has become for Saitama, the original word that I believe, the original phrase he used, I believe, is soka, which is more similar to saying "Oh, I see," or "Oh, all right."
I mean, it carries the same tone.
I think OK
Yeah.
probably fits better for Saitama. Oh, all right, kind of just sounds like what I
Well,
would say, and I'm a lot more snide.
Yeah,
than
well,
he
it's
is.
the way that it seems to originally have been intended is finally the armor that has sealed this power for thousands of years has been broken. Oh, I see. But the way it comes across, it's okay, and bitch.
That's kind of what they're supposed to be going for. He's heard the monologue too many times of, "Oh, I've got this much power," and it's well, I don't care. Just punish me, please.
You pressed my doo-doo button. Now I'm going to become 15 times stronger and 35 times faster. You'll never be able to catch me. Oh, I died.
Why is Boros Skeletor?
That was specifically Boros as just a vague enemy doing the monologue.
Yes, he man.
No, that was
I
dead
fought
on Skeletor.
Saitama. It's just I can't imagine Skeletor fighting Saitama. It just sounds so.
You egghead, you'll never be able to best Skeletor.
Especially with Skeletor.
I know what you can put on screen for Saitama
I'm not
if you want
putting
for
Walter
the
White on
thumbnail.
screen. You shut the fuck up.
You said it. You said his name. That's all I needed.
I've said his name before.
It's not my problem.
Yeah, I just took a look at my thumbnail. It's literally just the OK Saitama thing and spinach. It's such a bad thumbnail.
And you have we could use either Lloyd or Peter of ERB.
Oh yeah,
They are both bald.
Oh shit! Brandon said he just cut down the highlight reel for Madara versus Aizen. 12 minutes. Fuck.
That's gonna
I
be
might
half
end
the
up
video.
trimming more down. Uh,
That's gonna be half
but
the
yeah,
video.
the longest we've had besides this is like 7 minutes.
That's gonna be half the video. That's gonna be like. It's gonna be hard. If my video is still longer, that's gonna be fucking hilarious to me.
Oh, I'm not even gonna like beat around the bush at the start with. Okay, so here's what I think of Naruto Ichigo. No, I'm jumping straight into Madara Eyes, and I'm not. I'm not going for Naruto Ichigo or Sasuke Hiei or whatever else.
It's really. I mean, I think you could
I,
sum them up in like a sentence each. This one's okay. I don't
yeah,
remember this one. This one's amazing. This one's all right. This one is Gara versus Toph. You know.
I can give you a quick rundown of how I feel about the Naruto episodes. Naruto Ichigo has an annoying, like, weird saturation. I don't like the orange
There's
glare.
also the vignette.
Sanji
It's
Lee's
like
my least favorite episode. Gaara Toph is not noteworthy. Jiraiya Roshi's okay. Sasuke Hiei sure is an episode.
I think like besides Madara Eyes and Naruto on Death Battle had a very bad start and end, but everything in the middle like was good at worst.
I mean, you say start and end. Like the end also includes Obi-Wan versus Kakashi and All Might versus
I
Bad Guy.
the end by the end I mean the very last
Yeah,
one,
the
which
very
is
last
Rokui's
one.
on.
Was not great. And the very first one was not
Yeah.
great, and the rest were just sort of, all right to really good.
Like all my guy and Obi-Wan Kakashi are just both incredible. I think Madara Aizen's probably my third favorite behind those two, unless there's. I like it more than Naruto Ichigo or Roshi Jiraiya.
Naruto Ichigo has like such a good. I'm not. I don't actually. I don't want to explain how I feel about it because I don't know. With my review will be out by now, but there is that annoying saturation, but also there's like a black vignette around the whole animation. It's like on like all the edges of the screen, it's just faded black because they've got this weird lens over it, which I don't get.
I never noticed it.
So there's a black vignette over the whole fight, but the fight itself is so saturated that everything is like golden and glowing. It's weird.
My biggest worry would be that Madara Aizen would speedrun Naruto Ichigo. Would speedrun the animation like what Naruto Ichigo did. But no, they have like they managed to keep it like quick pace, but like give things enough time to sink in.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they give enough time for Pink Aizen to sink into
American Dad.
American Dad Aizen. That's what he'll always be to me with like the way the chin looks on him, like sticking out just past his eye line. I just imagine
Good
going,
morning,
"Hey, Lois."
USA.
Madara Aizen's a 0 out of 10. The meteors he dropped weren't perfectly spherical.
I know, right? Like what? Well, what the hell's up with that? Like, I can't. Madara did not move his mouth in that one scene when he talked. I'm just
Yeah, honestly,
I'll never emotionally recover.
Absolutely.
Honestly, like, I struggle to think of much wrong with it outside of the start to the fight.
I've only seen it once. I'll inevitably rewatch it and form like a more concrete opinion of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad that Madara won. That's
Going through Naruto again recently has been strange because I've remembered, oh, I like this, and I'll go through something and I'll be like, I don't remember disliking this as much as I did, and then I'll get to things like the war arc near the end of Shippuden, and I'm like, hey, some of these parts are like animated really really good, like there is some stuff like Kakashi Obito or some parts of the Naruto and Sasuke versus Madara fight that are really nice to look at, and it makes me think about like. Naruto versus Pain, what the hell happened?
Yeah, you get to Nagato's fucking fucking punch.
You get to Four Tails Naruto versus Pain, and you're like, what? Did
I said it
why?
To, I
what
said
happened that day?
I said it to Biff earlier, but genuinely, Naruto Ninja Storm is my favorite adaptation of the manga.
Oh, genuinely, it's such a fucking like, fucking. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, especially Storm 4, I think it's the opening when they've got like Susanoo close, cloaked Ninetales Madara versus like that fucking Thousand Hands from Hashirama. It's just so cool.
It's fucking, and like it's by far got the best Knight guy. That's not saying anything.
Yeah, well, because like
it's so good, but
I actually own, because it didn't start out as Ninja Storm. It started out as the Ultimate Ninja games, and I own 1 through 4, and I've been playing them. And like the supers have always been cinematic, but man, is Storm where it really picked up.
I've only managed to pick up a copy of Storm 4. I know I've played most of the games, but the only one I actually own currently, at least, is Storm 4.
I own Ultimate Ninja 1 through 4, and then I own Storm 2 and 4, I think.
Wow, you don't even have Storm 3, fake fan.
I think
Like,
I own Storm. It
it's
might be Storm 3. I think I own Storm 2
I
though.
played Madara so much that I genuinely wanted him to just say this Susanoo is destruction itself in the death battle, just because of Ninja Storm. Because that's what he says when he brings his perfect sus out.
Yeah, I loved fucking the meteor coming in, and I don't know if it'll be in the fucking reaction reel or whatever, but me just chiming in with, yeah, what are you gonna do about the second one, nerd?
And then it
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
come. That's what I was
Uh,
thinking. I was like, if I'm not gonna go around comparing the 1 minute melee and death battle just because the melee's not finished, but it'll always have the fact that it actually had the second meteor in there while the death battle didn't.
I think like the funny the in hindsight the funniest thing I said during the reaction to Madara Aizen was, "Wow, I was just enjoying Madara Aizen so much I forgot there was a next time." And now fast forward literally 5 minutes.
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, no, Madara Aizen was pretty good, but compared to the announcement of Popeye on a death battle, you cannot pay me to give a shit.
That reminds
Oh,
me.
absolutely.
I think what was the episode before Optimus Prime versus Gundam that had the
Uh,
trailer?
Carnage versus Lucy.
No, that was that. Was that after?
Optimus. I remember Ryu Jim was 95, Jack Afro was 96, Carnage Lucy was 97, and Optimus Gundam was 98.
Yeah, I had the view of wow, I didn't really care about that. This episode's a waste of. And then I saw the next time, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm okay with this episode existing. Yeah. And then the episode comes out, and I'm so mixed on it. Oh,
You had it as your second favorite for so
I
long.
did, and then I rewatched it, and this is with hindsight, because like I didn't really like realize how important Optimus was to me for a while. I mean, I was like, oh, my favorite Transformers, hey, it's Grimlock, it's fucking Metroplex, Omega Supreme. It's like, nah, my favorite's got to be Optimus. And then I
I'm
go
a,
back.
I guess it makes sense, but as like, I guess a passing Gundam fan, the only two reps are Epion, which to be fair, Epion's pretty cool, but I actively don't really care for Wing Gundam, and RX-782, which that's like the Gundam that checks out, that's fine. But like, I want G Gundam on Death Battle, I really
Is
do.
there even a matchup for the
Is that
God
like
Gundam?
Burning Gundam?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's
there's two Burning Gundams, one that's actually called Burning Gundam, and one that's just the name for the God Gundam.
Right, so because
yeah.
Reeling did Optimus versus Burning Gundam.
Optimus versus Burning Gundam's not good.
No.
The episode or the
The
matchup?
matchup. I like Cybertron Optimus versus Burning Gundam, but that's literally just because it's a matchup that people like, but this one actually fits like in tone, because Cybertron Optimus is just like that kind of anime character that screams and
I'm
powers
pretty
up.
big into God Gundam fighting either like, oh, I'm torn between whether like which of the two Mazingers I want, because I do like both Mazinger Z and Great Mazinger. And Great Mazinger I think it fits a little better as a fight, but it doesn't ring the same thematically as it does for me. I don't know. I want it to fight a Mazinger, is what I'm saying, but I know it won't, because we're not getting Mazinger on Death Battle either.
I mean, would
The
you
only
really?
Transformers match I had any stakes in was Galactus Unicron,
And now
which
I don't want it.
I mean, there is always like I can't even say Frieza Megatron for like the ironic factor. I guess if it was Cybertron Megatron, I'd find that kind of cool. Or if it was like
I'd be fine
G1
with
Megatron,
Frieza
or something
Megatron,
like
because I know it's gonna happen, and I like Frieza.
I also like. Also, it would
Frieza
be.
versus
Is it
G1
Lil Carrillo?
Frieza versus G1 Megatron is absolutely a matchup that's for Frieza and not a matchup for Megatron.
Yeah, Megatron
Like, just-
versus Vilgax. That sounds fun.
I take
Uh,
Megatron versus Vilgax, Megatron versus Psykill, or Megatron versus Char from the original Gundam Any of those would work and fit Megatron a lot better. And
Megatron versus Char, I wouldn't be mad at.
Megatron
I don't
vs.
know who
Char
any of these people
sounds
are.
great. Like you've actually got the whole like revolutionist angle and the whole like it would be great as an
Which mobile suit are you giving Char? Because I think he's piloted a couple of them.
That's hard to say. I think like they give him the red Zaku just because that's like it's probably his most iconic. Is that?
That is his most iconic. I didn't because I know his red Zaku's custom. It's different from other Zaku's.
It's a souped up Zaku, which it'd have to be to stand any chance against anything.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. I genuinely
Yeah,
forgot.
if you're gonna be rolling with not a mecha stormtrooper.
I think what they would ideally, right? Let's imagine that they made this a finale somehow. I would have something of an army battle where you have the red Zaku, but it's just really a decoy, and Char's actually getting into a more souped up Gundam to fight Megatron. So you can work the iconic red Zaku in, but it's just a ploy, so he has some time to set up a more powerful mobile suit to actually take on Megatron. That would probably work.
I wouldn't
best.
be mad at it. I think it'd also be interesting to see Megatron, like, because I'm sure somewhere in Transformers history this has happened before, but Megatron face, like, instead of like facing humans working with like Cybertronians as like partners, he faces like a guy inside of a giant robot. Like this is a human inside of a big machine.
Yeah,
So it's like, this is kind of like a human trying to, like, look what they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
I'm pretty sure like that is just a thing in Transformers. There are characters like that. Like Overlord is in his original incarnation is just like a couple that are in a gigantic robot suit. Until he gains sentience at the very end of Super God Master Force, which is a mouthful of a name.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's quite a name.
I genuinely forgot. Are we still recording?
we are. We are. This has been an hour and a half.
Oopsie.
I mean, we're just talking about things at this point.
Yeah. I just couldn't remember if we closed it off
like,
or not.
I think when it comes to Transformers matchups, I would take Megatron vs. Char. Beast Wars Megatron,
Yeah,
I have a
that's fair
preferred
enough.
for over Megabyte, but I think for a death battle, thinking about it, Beast Wars Megatron versus Reboot Megabyte would be great if they like did it in that sort of old animation style, like the really early 3D style would be such a unique aesthetic to go with. So I think those would be the ones I'd have the most stake in. But
Okay, but here's the real $1,000,000 question, right? So, if Ben Singer personally contacted you and said, "Right, we've got two matchups. You got to choose. You got to choose one to happen next season, and your options are Frieza versus Megatron or Azula versus Cinderfall. Which one are you picking?"
I would kill Ben Singer.
Option 3, homicide.
I would pull a Popeye and I would punch my email just through, and it would just travel and punch Ben Singer right in the face. He's not even gonna look at his email, it's just gonna come out of his phone.
Before I get into this tangent, I want to say, fuck Zaku's. The Goof Custom is the fucking coolest original mobile suit. 008 is fucking amazing, and the Goof Custom is so cool. But also, because while Char is still in my brain, I was watching Amphibia and going through seasons 2 and 3 especially. I've caught a lot of because like there's a lot of anime references in Amphibia, but specifically mecha anime gets referenced a lot more than you'd think it would. There's an episode where like the vegetables that they're growing mutate and they turn into just Shin Getter Robo and do like the transformation sequence from Getter Robo Armageddon, which is so fucking cool to me. But then there's a scene where they're like trying to, because they're about to go on a mission into like a dangerous temple, and they're giving the main character like different types of armor to like see what they're gonna go with. And at one point they just have Char's uniform.
Why?
And then there's a frog robot that's like I don't fucking remember how to pronounce it. The fucking Gelug or whatever the fuck in Zeon's forces. The one with the long arms. It's got arms like those with like a goof head fin.
Of course. Though speaking of Mecha, I have to ask, how would you feel if they announced Getter Robo versus Mazinger Z?
I'd be down for that.
I remember you had a Mazinger Z fight.
Yeah,
There's only
well,
one.
that's the thing, is that just one of my most wanted is a Mazinger Z fight. Mazinger Z on Death Battle would be a fucking dream come true. Uh,
I feel like Getter Robo would just fit so well just because of the whole, like, the fact that they are just that old and that influential.
yeah.
As
Well, that's the thing, is that Getter Robo, the primary design was penned by Ken Ishikawa, but Getter 2 and Getter 3 were designed by Go Nagai, who made Mazinger Z.
Yeah. And
Both came out of like their I think it's called Dynamic Productions.
There's only like 2 years
Was
between
like their
them, right? In terms of like when they came out, there's like 2 years between them.
Yes, Mazinger dropped the same year that Devilman did in 1972, and then I think
yeah, and Getter Robo's 1974.
Getter Robo came out in 74. Because around that time, after finding like Shameless School and I think with Devilman, Go Nagai, Ken Ishikawa, and I think a couple other people decided to create this big like conglomeration of manga writers, I think called Dynamic Productions or something like that, where they would go on to make stuff like Get a Robo. They went on to make stuff like I think Steel Jig and a few other titles that became pretty influential. But like the Dynamic Productions team is especially known for the Mecha series. Your Mazingers, Great Mazingers, Get a Robo, Steel Jigs, fucking Maz and Kaiser, and having a huge part in influencing shit like the Super Robot Wars crossovers and stuff like that. But all really, it's really interesting stuff that I would consider at least looking into in your free time if you have any interest in mecha stuff. But
I definitely wanted to get into more mecha
yeah,
stuff,
Death
but
Battle,
I've
I'd love to see.
We're just not at the time.
Right. Mazinger Z, I would love to see. I would love to see him fight Getter Robo. I would love to see Mazinger fight God Gundam, and I would really love to see Mazinger fight Tetsujin 28 as kind of like the two grandfathers of the modern mecha genre. Tetsujin 28 being credited as generally the first like man-controlled mecha, and then Mazinger Z being credited as piloted mecha. The issue there being because like you can find most of the original Tetsujin 28 anime on YouTube, just not translated, but just the raw episodes. But the original Tetsujin 28 manga is pretty much impossible to find in any way, shape, or form unless you live in Japan and have sources. And most of it has not been translated outside of Tetsujin 28 Go's anime being adapted into Gigantor, which I don't count because that's dumb.
I didn't realize the rabbit hole I was opening up by asking a simple question.
I never realized the rabbit holes I'm ever going to open in any conversation with any of you.
It's funny because Mazinger vs. Getter Robo is like not even like one of the giant thing matchups that I'm like super into. It's just like I thought, hey, Donovan likes Mazinger. Would he be okay with this?
Absolutely, I would. Mazinger versus Tetsujin Getter or God Gundam, I would love to see. I'd love to just see more mecha fights on Death Battle.
I would just want to see more giant thing fights. Because we don't
Destroyer
get
versus Iris season
Obviously,
9.
Give me Galgagar, give me fucking God Mars, give me Voltez 5. I don't care what you give me.
When it comes to characters that I don't know much about, because I've only like seen a couple episodes of King of the Braves, Galgagar would get such a pop off from me just because I love the design of that mecha that much.
Yeah,
but then
I'm sure at some point we get to hear like a little bit of that intro, that ga 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 ga.
But at the same time, I think the only matchup for Galgagar I give any shit about is the Tiger Zord, and I don't really need the Tiger. Like if Tommy's gonna come back, I'd want.
I think we've had enough.
Don't bring him back in the Tiger Zord again.
Yeah, if he's gonna come back, I'd rather it be as Dracon. Like
I listened to Sky's like Dracon versus how do you say the other guy's name again? I don't remember. Yeah, that guy. I listened to it. That shit was a banger. So good.
I need Dracon. Like as much as I like Galgagar vs. Tiger Zord, when it comes to like a death battle, bringing Tommy back, bring him back as Dracon. That's all I want.
Absolutely. I would be. I don't even like Dracon seems like a genuinely interesting character.
I don't even want like Tommy back as like just himself out of a Zord like and fighting. That just doesn't interest me as much as just bring him as Dracon. He can do anything Tommy can, but better.
Does Dracon have a
as much as I absolutely love Power Rangers as well, I'd love to see some Super Sentai rep. Marvelous versus Decade. I would absolutely not be against.
That was my first thought, was Marvelous Decade. I'm starting to get into Kamen Rider, and I've started with double, and like now I've got a matchup I like that's never happening. But
Most of Kamen Rider that I've seen / read has been original Kamen Rider with Ichigo.
the only
I
Showa
don't
thing
know jack shit about Kamen
the only
Rider.
Showa thing I've experienced with Kamen Rider is one episode of Stronger. Like several years back at like 4:30 a.m. I watched an episode of Stronger, and that's all I've done with Showa Kamen Rider. So I haven't got much stake in that. I would be okay with Ichigo versus like Kamen Rider Ichigo versus Captain America.
Nah, but Marvelous versus Decade, I would super be down for, and it would bring a similar level of catharsis that a little part of Popeye versus Saitama did in confirming that Luffy probably will not fight Popeye. I doubt they're gonna bring him back for it. I really want Luffy versus Natsu. And I doubt he's gonna fight Reed Richards because I'm sure he's gonna fight Plastic Man. I doubt he's gonna fight Captain Marvelous, but that's another one that I see fairly often
I hate that
because I'd
matchup
rather
so
Captain
much.
Marvelous.
Yeah,
the premise just being a pirate.
This list of connections, and I think your core theme. All right, you compare this to Decade. Luffy versus Captain Marvelous. The core theme is that they're a hero pirate. They're a pirate who's a good person. But then Decade versus Marvelous, it's this massive rivalry, and they are the celebratory anniversary Sentai / Ranger that like has the power of all the others from the past and future technically.
And they've crossed over before.
Yeah, like they had
they
a movie,
fought each other before.
and the fight was so shit. I mean, that's kind of another reason I'd want it is to rectify how bad the fight was in the film because like I didn't even remember like what was used. I think Decade literally just uses like blade and
let me think. It was Battle Fever. They used fuck, what the hell else did they do? Whatever the hell Wild Force's counterpart was, I can't remember. I think Gokaiger.
Marvelous. Decade. I literally just remember. I think it was either Blade or Gaim he used, and then Hibiki for the end. I don't. I'm gonna open up the fight.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see. Like the best.
No, I'd love to see but like that would pretty much require them to make custom assets for it use the different unique.
There
stuff.
are actually sprites for basically all the Kamen Riders that Decade can turn into, and Decade himself.
Are there?
Yeah, I went looking for sprites for Kamen Rider Double, and I found Decade's got so many that he can use, and that
what about Captain Marvelous and the other Sentai
Marvelous is where they
Rangers?
would need to make custom assets. I'm pretty sure. Literally the best part of the Marvelous versus Decade fight is the intro where they henshin in front of each other. That is the best part of the whole fight. Is the on-screen dual henshin.
I don't think it's the worst Sentai fight I've ever seen. Definitely not the worst Tokusatsu fight I've ever seen because I watched the fucking the two like non-Godzilla fucking Gabara fights or whatever.
Oh. God. Oh right, the Go God Man and Go Green Man fights.
Yeah, those were those were atrocious.
Those were dire.
But
then that's Gabara.
It just leaves you wanting so much more. It leaves you wishing they had used like anything a little more unique.
I think the only thing that the fight actually has is the novelty of seeing several Kamen Riders on screen with Sentais. Oh right, yeah. Decade also uses Ryuki, a Kamen Rider that I just don't give a shit about. The Beast one is a Geki Ranger.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm watching right now. He used fucking the only final attack ride that Decade uses is fucking Ryuki. He's like the lamest belt of any Kamen Rider that in the Heisei era, and then they charge each other, it explodes, and the fight ends.
Yeah. I also, as far as like Kamen Rider versus Super Sentai matches go, I wouldn't be against fucking Aka Ranger versus Ichigo.
Oh, like because they're the first ones.
Yeah, just because like I wouldn't mind seeing Kamen Rider and Super Sentai in like its simplest, most original form.
Yeah,
without all the weird dimensional shit Kamen Rider gets into later, and without all the fucking like robots and like 30 different weapons and team attacks that Super Sentai gets into.
I would probably prefer Kamen Rider Ichigo versus Aki Ranger over versus Captain America, but I think like Captain America is gonna make more sense for a death battle, just because. Like,
I remember Captain Falcon versus Kamen Rider used to be a semi-common one.
I feel like we should probably wrap this up soon, like just the recording part of this, because we've been
Oh,
off topic
I've
for a while.
been.
All right.
Yeah, I don't
okay.
think we've mentioned Popeye or Saitama in
so-
like half an hour.
Let's finish this up. Popeye wins by taking all stats by a wide margin. He takes
Except maybe
all
speed.
hacks. Oh yeah, speed might be like relatively even, but he takes all the hacks abilities.
Yeah.
He's way stronger. He's way tougher. Literally, if Saitama was a trillion times stronger, he wouldn't be able to kill him with his current kit of abilities. So it doesn't even matter like how strong Saitama is. He just if Popeye was wall level, he would still win this fight because he would transmutate Saitama with his hit, and Saitama wouldn't
Turn
be
him
able to put
into
him
a
down.
sausage.
He could, and Saitama
Yeah,
could
he
do anything.
turned Saitama into an egg and throw him at a house.
He
I've just been reading the Madara versus Aizen comments, and people are so mad.
Good.
It's not
Fuck
even
him.
out yet, but people
Fuck
are.
Aizen.
Ooh.
Yeah, honestly, fuck Aizen.
Fuck Aizen. I've got nothing against the character, but I have problems with like just what I associate with the character, as opposed to like the character.
Well,
I have
Blake
problems with the character. I do not find the I am God, I planned everything from the beginning, I am so powerful, look at me fucking jack off my energy boner. I fucking hate that kind of character.
Meanwhile, I really like Madara, so like obviously there was going to be a bit of a bias there when it comes to
Madara's so cool.
Madara's fucking awesome. He's a perfect way to hype up a character, and I love that when he drops the meteor, it's literally just it's like backhanding you. Like it's not even like this big deal. It's like yeah, so there's the meteor by the way, and that's how he treats it. I love that.
It's like, haha, we can deal with that meteor. It's like, yeah? What about the other one?
Yeah, it's like yeah, so you put in all that work to take that one out. Like what do you mean that one?
Man,
And he's like, you
it's
think
such a
the
good
Susanoo's annoying. You think these Limbo clones are annoying. Boy, just wait till I combine them.
God, wait till I got all these multiple giant susses, each one dropping a meteor and truth-seeking orbs.
They didn't do that. They didn't give a
didn't.
Susanoo to each Limbo clone. I'm a
didn't.
little disheartened about it.
Well, that's because they had to have Kaguya. Imagine how
They should have
good-
had Zetsu come in and kill him
Imagine-
right after he wins.
Imagine how good the fucking ending of Naruto would have been if we didn't have Kaguya and we just had Madara. And it was just like
Imagine how good Naruto would be if we just didn't have Zetsu in general. What does he add of worth?
Imagine how good Naruto would have been if I'd seen it.
The
Like
only-
any of it,
the only
literally
thing-
a single episode.
the only thing Zetsu adds is the potential for Madara to look at Aizen's like second form and go, "Is that white Zetsu?" That's the only thing Zetsu adds. But then they skipped over
Yeah,
that,
he
so-
went into his final form super early, and I forgot until like the previews and like the analysis and shit how ugly Aizen's final
Yeah,
form
I'm not a
is.
fan of that, but like that's not really a fault on Death Battle that Aizen has a shit design for the button.
No, that's not a fault on Death Battle at all. He's just ugly.
I know you've got a problem with the 1 minute melee sprites for that battle, but Aizen generally looks better in the 1 minute melee sprite for him in that style than he does in the actual
Yeah.
show.
Well, I mean, it's not even like a problem with the sprites overall.
It's the
Well,
faces.
it is a little. Just the heads, yeah,
Yeah.
just the way the faces look.
I think-
That's just the way that animator does
I think-
heads. That's the way I think the same animator did for Saitama.
Yeah. I mean, I think it works for Saitama. Like, just because.
Yeah, because he's a very simplistic character usually. But
Yeah.
Aizen and Madara are usually a little more detailed.
I think Madara usually looks fine, but when they like do a close up on his face, it can get a bit weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aizen can look like shit, though. I don't care. Fuck him.
He already does look like shit. Look at him.
I mean, I think Aizen's like first and third designs look fine, but like his second design is just white Zetsu, and his final design looks like crap. His Bankai probably looks good,
Yeah.
but we've never seen it, so who knows. But yeah, so that was the prediction. In the loosest sense, if anyone's got a problem with how off topic this one is, like I know Donovan's had problems with these predictions being off topic before. Now he's got no fucking way to talk. But
Yeah.
if anyone's got
Well,
a problem,
it's not problems with them being off topic, just that I'm not gonna sit through it.
fair enough. You're not going to sit through this
Fair.
one either.
I'll probably sit through this one.
If
I was here for this one.
if I send you like the unedited,
No, I'll probably sit through this.
if I send you the unedited audio, will you listen through it just to find like timestamps? You bring up a Popeye thing and then like send me the thing to put it on screen. Would you do that for me?
Yeah, I'll see.
Because
how
realize
I do.
you wouldn't even have to listen to half of it.
Yeah, you need
Right.
to listen like a whole lot.
I mean, I'll probably listen through it again anyway, because I've recorded a podcast type thing with like my friend Alex before, and I've just listened to that like 8 different times because I got bored.
I mean,
Oh my God.
we got to basically just have a fun conversation like that. I don't mind.
Yeah.
I don't mind the predictions like this. I know some people aren't a fan of them, but at the same time, you guys just see me having fun with mates. Like these are probably
Yeah, I don't.
when it comes to people I've had on these predictions, these two are probably the ones I talk to the most.
Yeah, I don't get to
Generally.
call with you very often, then, so it's been
No.
fun just having.
Yeah,
reason to
this is kind of maybe not necessarily the same format, but it's kind of like a not death battle cast.
Yeah, more or less.
My God, if I did a not death battle cast with just me and Huan, and we just like tried to reason, if we did not death battle, like community not death battles, it'd be so broken. I actually, honestly, that sounds kind of fun. We would just come up with the worst arguments you could possibly imagine. I'd say we do it in character, but not Boomstick's voice. I can't do
That's
that
just
for
role
long.
playing. That is just role playing.
I can manage not Boomstick's voice quite a while. I'm not gonna imagine for like a 3-hour podcast. That's really ridiculous. But
I can't even manage my own voice, like my own regular voice, for a 3-hour podcast. So.
you can.
I can't manage my voice at all.
Oh God, that just got. I've also Donovan. I want you to know that Huan's going to be voicing Popeye in the How It Should Have Been. I just want you to know that.
Oh, fucking of course he is. If he fucks it up, I will be writing him some angry DMs.
I might just go, why don't you just do your Donald Duck voice? I mean, it's not like any of them are more understandable than the other. The Donald Duck voice, they should have been a multiverse match, but I mean...
Ooh, throwing shade.
My interactions with Huan to this point have exclusively been him bullying me about common inside jokes.
Like,
Huan?
so, Huan, I have a
Yeah.
couple things to say
Mecha.
about your Popeye performance, and the first response is putrid green toast.
That is what Huan most frequently
Yeah.
DMs me as putrid green toast.
I'm glad. Can't wait to put that in a not death battle. Putrid green toast versus Don Cheadle, the ultimate anti and pro Biff Weed.
Ooh.
It just turns into a draw.
Yeah, like the
Just
last
hit-
message
just
that Huan sent me was, "Hey, hope you have a good birthday, man," with the putrid green toast image or gif.
Anyway, this is nearly 2 hours long, and we've spent about 15 minutes talking about the matchup. You guys can say goodbye first.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And yeah, I'll see you guys in another video. And I'll probably keep talking with these idiots for like another hour until they go to bed. Bye.
Promise.